Cazzi vostri, cazzi vostri, cazzi vostri.
Codigo.
Poco, infatti non si tiene indiscrezione nella parte del gente di squadra per fare. Succhiamo, tu che scopa anch'io. E per provare si disse alla pecorella. Uno fra le mani e l'altro fra le gambe. Cerchiamo la rubrica di chi si sente solo. Una vacca in calze nere per l'inerzia del cowboy.
Come passa? La sorella?
Con la sborra sulla testa. Loggia comincia alle 8. Borgia comincia alle 8. Borgia comincia alle 8. Borgia comincia alle 8. Borgia comincia alle 8. La sbora nel culo, 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 la sbora nel
Macchina tipografica.
Act. This becomes even more obvious when posterity gives a final verdict and sometimes rehabilitates forgotten artists.
Smother you, and you can your chest, and you can feel it in your chest, breaking your heart, and you chest, cheeks of your ass, and your ribcage is locked. You are angry, and you really hate it, and you want to scream, and you want to scream, but you can't because the sound is locked in your throat, And they are pulling your arms off, and they are ripping your arms off, and they are ripping your arms off your body, and they are ripping your arms off your body, and they are twisting your head off, And you tighten your neck, and you tighten your neck, and you tighten your ears, and you tighten your ears, and you tighten your forehead, and you tighten your forehead, and you tighten your nose, and you tighten your nose, and you tighten your lips, tighten your cheeks, tighten your jaw, tighten the skin on your skull, your eyes are open, and your eyes are popping out of your head. You are in a doorless, burning house. You are in a doorless, burning house. You are in a doorless, burning house. And closing. Another doorless, burning house inside another doorless, burning house. Another doorless, burning house and closing inside another, and closing inside another, inside another. And you are crying, and you are crying. And you tighten your shoulders. You tighten your arms, and your wrists, and you tighten your hand, you tighten your fingers, And there is a gun in your hand. There is a gun in your hand. There is a 38 caliber revolver, a 38 caliber revolver, and it's pointing at your face, and you pull the trigger, and you pull the trigger, the bullet shoots toward your head, toward your head, and you are committing suicide. You are committing suicide. It smashes into your face, and it smashes into your face, and it smashes blows your skull open, and blows your skull open, and brains and flesh and skin and hair, blood and brains and flesh and skin and hair, blood and brains and flesh and skin and hair, blood and brains and flesh and skin and hair, blood and brains, fly into the air, fly into the air, you are dying, 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 you are still trying to hold it together, to hold it together, trying to hold it together, trying to hold it together, trying to hold it in, trying to hold the bloody mess, trying to hold the bloody mess as it scatters through, to hold the bloody mess as it scatters in the room, to hold the bloody mess as it scatters in, to hold the bloody mess as it scatters in, to hold the bloody mess as it scatters in, to hold the bloody mess as it scatters in, to hold the bloody mess as it scatters in. You tighten your shoulders, and you tighten your shoulders, and you straighten your back, and you straighten your back, and you tighten your crotch and your asshole, and you tighten your crotch and your asshole, and you suck in your gut, and you suck in your gut, and you suck in your gut. And you are dead, you are dead, and it's the same, and it's the same, and it's the same. Nothing has changed, nothing has changed. Only it's a little worse, only it's a little worse. It's more horrible, it's more horrible, it's more horrible. You're just in another hell, you're just in another hell, you're just in another hell. There's no way out, and there's no way out, and there's no way out. And there's nothing else to do, and there's nothing else to do, and there's nothing else to do but tighten your thigh muscles, but tighten your thigh muscles, and tighten your knees, and tighten your calves, and tighten your ankles, and tighten your ankles, and tighten your feet, and tighten your feet, and tighten your toes, and tighten your toes. And there's no time off, there's no time off, there's no time off, and if you go to sleep, and if you go to sleep, you blow it, and if you go to sleep, you blow it. You have forgotten you are dead, you have forgotten you are dead, you have forgotten you are dead. And you go over your body, and you go over your body, and tighten the muscles that have loosened, and tighten the muscles that have loosened, and every muscle is totally intensified, and every muscle is totally intensified, and you are as hard as a rock, and you are as hard as a rock, and you are as hard as a rock. And you hear the long, low roar, you hear the long, low roar of a jet plane, the long, low roar of a jet plane, and it gets louder and louder, and it gets louder and louder, and it gets louder and louder, and it gets louder, and piercing shriek, and piercing shriek overhead, overhead. A napalm bomb explodes, napalm sliding everywhere, and you are covered with burning napalm, and you are covered with burning napalm, and you are covered with burning napalm. And you can't believe it's really happening, and you heave, it's really happening, and your skin is burning, your skin is burning, your skin is burning, and everything is burning, and everything is burning, your skin is burning, your skin is burning, your skin is burning, your skin is burning, and it has to burn out, and your skin is blistering, and your skin is blistering, and there are blisters inside those, and there are blisters inside those, and crackings inside those, cracking inside those, and more inside those, and more inside those, and your muscles are cooking, and your muscles are cooking, and you smell like juicy barbecue steak, and eyes are open, your eyes are popping out of your head, and your eyes are popping out of your head, and your eyes are popping out of your head, and your eyes are burning, 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 and you lean forward on your left leg, and you lean forward on your left leg, and you gently lean forward, and suck your asshole, and suck your asshole, and suck your crotch, and suck your crotch, and straighten your back, and straighten your back, and feel the energy, and feel the energy inside your gut, inside your gut, feel the energy inside your gut, running up your spine, flowing in a white channel, up into your head. And you go slowly up, and go slowly up. It's like being squeezed through a steel net. And it's like being squeezed through a steel net. And you go higher, and you go higher, and you go higher, and higher, and higher, and higher. And it's like being born, and it's like being born, and it's like being born. A white flower opening, a white flower opening, a flower opening, and it is effortless, and it is effortless, and it is effortless, and it becomes cooler, and it becomes cooler, and cooler, and cooler, and cooler, and calm, and calm, and calm, and calm. And you haven't gotten anywhere, and you haven't gotten anywhere, and you haven't gotten anywhere, only here, only here, only here.
He prospered and proliferated, flooding the world with cut medicines and cheap counterfeit goods of every variety. Adulterated shark repellent, cut antibiotics, condemned parachutes, stale anti-venom, inactive serums and vaccines, leaking lifeboats. one more short piece. This is also from Exterminator. It's called From Here to Eternity. Mildred Pierce reporting. I was there. I saw it. I saw women thrown down on Fifth Avenue and raped in their mink coats by blacks and whites and yellows while street urchins stripped the rings from their fingers. A young officer stood nearby. Aren't you going to do something? I demanded. He looked at me and yawned. I found Colonel Bradshaw bivouacking in the Ritz. I told him bluntly what was going on. His eyes glinted shamelessly as he said, well, you have to take a broad general view of things. And that's what I have been doing, taking a broad general view of American troops raping and murdering helpless civilians, while American officers stand around and yawn. Been at it a long time, lady. It's the old Army game, from here to eternity. This license was dictated by considerations taken into account by prudent commanders throughout history. It pays to pay the boys off. Even the noble Brutus did it. Points with his left hand in catatonic limestone. The town is yours, soldier brave. Tacitus describes a typical scene. If a woman or a good-looking boy fell into their hands, they were torn to pieces in the struggle for possession, and the survivors were left to cut each other's throats. Mother-loving American army run by old women. Many of them are religious. My God, hanging American soldiers for raping and murdering civilians. Old Sarge bellows from here to eternity. What the bloody fucking hell are civilians for? Soldiers pay. The CO stands there and smiles. Just ahead is a middle western town on a river. 30,000 civilians. The CO points. It's all yours, boys, every man, woman, and child. God is nigh. Let's get us some civvies. Now, just a minute, boys. Listen to old Sarge. Why make the usual stupid scene, kicking in liquor stores, grabbing anything in sight? You wake up hungover in an alley, you're prick sore from fucking dry cunts and assholes. Your eye gouged out by a broken beer bottle. Yeah, you and your asshole buddy wanted the same piece of ass. No fun in that. Why not leave it like this? They go about their daily routines, business as usual, schools all open. You see what I mean? And we just take what we want when we want it. Cool and steady and easy, and make them like it. The young lieutenant from camouflage sees what he means. Boys, swimming pools and locker rooms full of them. Getting it steady year after year. Now that's what I call pay.
Говорят, видела постепенно, потом про это говорю, что без заеда ровно, а солнце, ладно, не горюй, смотри на вещи просто, а где ты думаешь, веди легко, пойди, попробуй, а все идет, идет, весь слово, болтали так до темноты, добывший ночь стоит. Какая пауза ноги, быть не совсем откроет. Скоро, дружбу тихая, бью по плечу его я, и солнце тоже, тихая, и там товарищ двое. Пойдем, поэт, старик, поем, у мира в сером славе. Я буду солнце лить свое, а ты свое стихами. Иначе дней, ночей тюрьма, под солнцем волкой мало, эй, эта кутерьма, блестит во что попало. Станет пол и хочет ночь, белей тупая сонница. Но вовсю святая любовь. Снова день исполнится, светись всегда, светись везде, как день последних солнца. Светись и никаких гвоздей. Вот Богом,